this man is not whole anymore. He has been broken down.
Breaking right now, new claims that Prince Harry is trying to distance himself from Meghan Markle, his own wife. P.DINA, the royal YouTube sensation.
Remember Prince Harry, always smiling, full of fun. He was the playful one in the serious royal family. Everyone loved his cheeky grin. They cheered for the little prince. But now things are different. He's not so happy anymore. He seems sad, like he's fighting a tough battle inside. He made some big choices and people are talking. It's like he's stuck between the fancy royal life he was born into and the freedom he wants. He married Meghan Markle and everyone thought that would be a happy ending. But now people are saying they're not getting along. The happy times seem long gone. The royal family, which used to feel like a trap, now seems like a safe place you can't go back to. Everyone is watching, wondering what will happen next with Harry and Meghan.
With analysis on this in just 1 minute, but first, here is the claim from Charlotte Griffiths, the editor-at-large of the Mail on Sunday newspaper, on the Daily Mail's Palace Confidential. Watch.
Because behind the scenes, I'm hearing that Harry's been taking advice about how to become more popular. And he wants to kind of get back to that image of him as the cheeky chappy, which is why we saw him over Halloween doing some kind of comedy appearances. And he did one with Jelly Roll where he kind of pretended to get a tattoo. He's trying to get back to that jocular Prince Harry, the Playboy Prince image. And of course, having Meghan by his side doesn't really work with that. So I think it's a bid for him to get popular again. I think that's what he's... Don't know.
I was going to say, so you think this is all Harry, look, you're killing my buzz. I need to get on with it. You know what I mean? What's Meghan's strategy?
I think partly, but you know, I think Meghan, meanwhile, wants to present herself in the new year as the face of this cookery show, as like sort of Martha Stewart Mark II, as a sort of very sensible cookery, you know, queen. So I suppose they're aiming for different images. I don't know whether, you know, he said to Meghan, "You're cramping my style," but they're aiming for different reputational strategies, and so they're doing it separately.
P.DINA, what do you make of it?
Wow, I think it makes so much sense, doesn't it? I mean, Harry really sees the decline of his brand. Everything about him is not looking as I think Meghan told him it would be once they came to California. I think he is looking at himself and really trying to get back his individuality. I think it sets the tone for what is going on possibly within the marriage, because he wants to separate himself and save himself. This is something that I've been talking about over a year ago. I mean, there was talks of him possibly maybe living in New York and, you know, doing the bi-coastal thing with the children. I think this is something that he's prepping for because he needs to be able to sustain what he is as an individual, because he wants to have that back. I mean, that's the one thing that he needs to have because everything else has been taken from him. I mean, the things that he had been doing before the Queen had taken away some of his patronages. He has lost some of his, I think, his titles or medals from when he was in the military. This man has lost so much. His identity has been stolen. And now his identity, who is he as a man, is there's nothing there for him anymore. And I can imagine that this is really, he's suffering mentally from this because he has, I know in the past, we all know, tried to cover up his feelings of mental illness and depression with drugs and alcohol. So I can only imagine that he's trying to sustain himself in a way to keep some clarity within his mind, to go on as an individual, to get something back to make him feel more whole, because it shows you this man is not whole anymore. He has been broken down. And I know some people don't like it when I, you know, try to take up for him. And, you know, look, he's made his bed. He needs to sleep in it. And I think it's all about, have you learned anything, Harry? Have you learned from these mistakes? I think if people can see that he has learned, he can atone for the past things he's done to his family, I think the majority of people would forgive him. I think it is possible for him to get back what he has lost in terms of this cheeky chap that he once was.
That's gone.
But it's going to
You're
take
40
some,
years
you know,
old,
looking
mate.
inward.
Your hair is
Yes.
gone. You're 40 years old. You're not a cheeky chappy. We know you're not. See,
No.
P.DINA, this is where I disagree, because I
Okay.
do not believe he can get it back. I find what he has done unforgivable. I mean, let's look at this court case, which I've offered to give evidence in and might next month. Now, that court case, he claims, right, it's to try and show to the world, that the British press are terrible people. But what this is actually about is personal vengeance and also trying to embarrass his family member. These court cases that he is pursuing against the British media involve emails being revealed that his grandmother, his late grandmother, allowed her staff to send privately. He wants to embarrass his father. He wants to embarrass his brother, even now. Even, by the way, P.DINA, when his father is undergoing treatment for serious cancer and his brother is trying to balance his own dad and his own wife having cancer. That, to me, is sick. And in fact, I mean, I'm never one to stick up for Meghan Markle, but maybe one of the most sensible things she did, and she doesn't do many sensible things, is say to Prince Harry, quit these lawsuits. Quit these lawsuits because they're not making you happy. So I don't think he has it in him to change. I think he's so bitter. And then the other point I would make is, look, no matter what we think about Meghan, he was the one that went all in on her. And then isn't there something quite grim about him all of a sudden saying, oh, I'm now mortified to be associated with my own wife in public? Doesn't that say something about where Harry is at?
I do. I think it does say something about where he is at. He has definitely made some poor choices. I'm always hopeful for people to learn and to be better. And I think what you're saying it makes a lot of sense, but I think maybe he is starting to see what has happened because he's now starting to distance himself from Maggie. So that means he has to see what she has done to him. Perhaps maybe he is not genuine in what he's still pursuing. Maybe he feels like he has to still do it. I just feel like he's starting to see it. And I think when he sees it, I think he gets a little bit more slack for that but I think also you have to also be willing to act on it. And I think acting on what you see now with your wife means separating yourself completely from her. So I think it just depends on whether or not you're going to own up to what you know is the right thing or you're not.
Prince Harry has always had a tough time. As the younger brother, the spare, he had to follow all the royal rules, even though he liked to break them sometimes. But it was hard to be himself. Then he met Meghan, and she was like a breath of fresh air. She understood him and his wish for a normal life. Their love story was like a big no way to the royal family. But the happy times didn't last. The newspapers and magazines wouldn't leave them alone, and people in the royal family weren't very nice. It all became too much. Harry felt trapped, even though he had chosen this new life.
And I think if you're going to be stubborn, you're going to hold out and still be this person that's going to, embarrass your family, do things against your family, then no, you should definitely not have forgiveness and people should not give you slack for that. But I think he is starting to see it. It's a process. This is something that's going to take time. They're so intertwined now with things around their branding that it's going to take a while to separate from that. And I think with time, he will probably own up to what he sees now as not being the right thing for your family. I'm always hopeful for that, but he's not out the clear yet. No, not at all. He's still got a ways to go, but we're starting to see he's waking up
Yeah,
to
I
the
know,
reality
but
of
look
who
at
his
but
wife
that interview,
is.
P.DINA, for example, was awful. It was awful. So yeah, he's waking up to his wife. But what I don't think he's waking up to is what he has done. What he has done to his family, what he has done to his reputation. And if he believes that simply leaving his wife or publicly disassociating with the woman who he allowed to do all of this stuff, personally, I don't think it's going to be enough. And of course, he's trapped in that marriage as it stands because he knows what she has the capability of doing to him.
That's right. And she's going to go all in on him. It's going to be a nightmare for Harry. So I don't know. You better try to make it seem like she doesn't know what he's trying to do, because I can tell you she is going to give it to him in a
Well,
way
and we
that's
know
going to
there's
break
stuff there,
him.
P.DINA. We know there's stuff there because Harry was stupid enough to confirm some of it in his own book. Do you remember when he wrote that, I was getting too angry and Meghan came in and said, you can never act like that again around me, or I'm gone. So already he has opened himself up to an onslaught, and God knows what she would reveal. Or the other thing is, he's going to be damned financially. But first, you know how often I talk on this show about the need for free speech to be protected. My goodness, I believe it. But I've been increasingly thinking of the need for personal protection from snoopers, bad actors, and hackers online. And I'm delighted to tell you I've now found the fail-safe solution. But what's more, this VPN, or virtual private network to use the full term, is also a life changer when it comes to providing you entertainment and information from anywhere in the world, wherever you are. So let me introduce you to Surfshark, an incredible and easy-to-use service that encrypts all your internet traffic, meaning your online activity stays safe so you can shop, stream, browse, and conduct your banking online in complete privacy. But the benefits of Surfshark actually go way beyond keeping you safe. It also allows you, and this is what I love, to access your favorite entertainment and news shows and news channels or streaming services, all of the big ones, by the way, Hulu, iPlayer, Peacock, HBO Max, or the international ones. You can watch the GeoBlock shows on Netflix, Amazon Prime, or Disney Plus within seconds. It's also great if you're traveling for work or if you're just on holiday, but you want to get all of your favorite content from home, especially sports coverage. It's also a creeping, it's a creeping way to make sure that you're not impacted by the censorship that is going on in the world too, because some countries do block specific services. So effectively, to sum it up, you can watch anything, anytime, anywhere. This is true freedom. A VPN can also save you money because you can access websites that change their prices depending on which country you are buying from. There are other benefits too. Your whole household can be protected, and you can stay safe with just one subscription, which means you can use lots of different devices, tapping into over 3,200 servers in over 100 countries. Also, if this is your first time using a VPN, and my goodness, I recommend it. I promise you it's incredibly easy. I'm a customer myself. I love it. But there is 24/7 customer service available to you, which does make setting up, just give you that little protection, actually, in case you're nervous about it. What's more, by the way, if you're not happy with Surfshark, they will give you your full money back at any point within 30 days. That shows you the confidence of their service. So how you can do this is go to surfshark.com/outspoken for an extra 4 months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price. Let me just repeat the address: www.surfshark.com/outspoken. If you are watching this though on YouTube or Rumble, you can just click on the link in the description box below. But now, back to the show. But look, what has been really fascinating, though, P.DINA, over the last week is the American media, including the American media that used to be very positive about Meghan, waking up to the fact that actually she is a commercial disaster. These headlines are bad, P.DINA. Why do Meghan Markle's projects keep failing, keep flopping? Of course, Polo didn't even come close to the top 10 in the UK or the US.
People are whispering in the palace. They say Prince Harry has a secret plan. They say he wants to leave the royal life behind and protect his wife and kids. It's all very hush-hush. He's being very careful. If he does this, it could be a huge deal. He's stuck between his love for his family and his need to be free. Everyone is watching his every move, waiting for the truth to come out. What will happen next? Will Harry go back to the royal family, or will he risk everything for freedom? The whole world is watching. His choice will change things for everyone, especially the royal family. It's a big decision. One thing's for sure: Harry's life will never be the same. He's changed. He's a prince without a home, trying to find his place in the world.